All right, we're about to get started. Let's see if it works. I don't know if the mic's gonna be a little too loud for a minute or something. I'm gonna fix it. Hold on, here it comes. Can we get, oh, wrong one. There we go. Push there and that button and yay, it worked. Hey, look at that. I'm a little off center. I have to, let me fix that real quick. Nope, that's the wrong one. This one. No. Is it me? There it is. There we go. All right, now I'm centered-ish. Hi. Sorry, I've been, I didn't have a morning show this morning because when I got back from, Duck Butthole, Nevada, where we did our show, it's Jackpot, and it was lovely, actually. The people were really nice. It was great. There's nothing there. So, it's funny to be worried about offending the town when there's, like, nobody from there, and even the people from there are like, I really kind of view myself as living in Twin Falls or in Elko. And I couldn't hype train right out of the gate. Well, thanks guys. I appreciate that. We certainly need the boost after I've been away for a little bit, even if it's one show. Hi, welcome. Hi, settle in. It's going to be all right. I'm here to tell you, the gloom, the doom, it's unnecessary. I need you to breathe deep. The world is very big and is always cranking in the right direction. I'm here to tell you, I'm sorry. I was about to say, I wish I could figure out how to make that like fear farmer money and boost my show the way the ones that are telling you the end is nigh always do. But I can't even pretend to think that that's a good thing. Like it's weird. Like some people like, there's some things you can't joke about. I believe you can joke about all topics, just depends on how you do it. But it matters about sort of your ethical point on it. And I can't even bring myself to pretend that faux mania and panic and bullshit from the fear farmer crowd has not only is ethical or moral or any of those things, but actually has any meaning at all. Like, what does it do? I mean, other than the fact, I guess, I'm sure somebody's done a psychological study for over the years over like sort of end times preachers and the concept that some people just want to go to an evangelical church that tells them that the rapture's just around the corner because there's a certain sweet release in an overwhelming destruction. It borders on it takes the fantasy of self-harm out of your hands and puts it in the hands of a benevolent creator or an asteroid you have no control over. So maybe that's oh, thanks, Dennis. I was very sick when that happened. But I showed up anyways because I felt if I didn't, that would be bad. But I appreciate you. Yes, I physically changed a lot since then. So, the rapture, there's some BS. Right. Lots of studies have done on that subject, Al. I would love to look at some because it fascinates me. And it really seems to be the business model that Jimmy Dore runs, that Russell Brand runs, certainly that Alex Jones runs. There's a sideline pocket industry from the beginning of the Joe Rogan podcast when he'd have Eddie Bravo on that kind of spoke in that direction. And even the people who are sort of, the right-leaning folks that he has on to kind of talk about, just politics and that kind of stuff. Even they are kind of cut from a gloom and doom, like this kind of stuff means the end of democracy. This kind of stuff means the end of society. It isn't just simply that here's another bump in the road that humans have to deal with. It's that finally, this is the fucked up social moment that's going to ruin it all. Right? And to me, it's clear it's a great money-making opportunity for the right people. It is sort of like it's like an evil panic-based hedge fund. Right? Like mutual funds seem normal to me. Like, hey, let's all group our money onto some businesses we think are going to do well and be here in 100 years. And like hedge funds are like, I think that company's going to take a shit. Let's bet on it. That seems evil to me. That seems gross. It's like, like day trader kind of shit. Has nothing to do with the actual health or worth of the company, what it does, whether it serves people, whether it puts out a quality product, any of that stuff, right? And so I feel like, like Rusty and Jimmy and all those crowd, they're the hedge fund managers of fear. So just hoping we don't lose power until after HAL's done. Oh, I hope you don't lose power at all. Holy smokes. By the way, this is my eye line when I'm looking at the chat room. Let me move it up a little bit so I don't have to look quite as far down. Act, don't pray, Bob. Well, Bob, it's funny that you use those choice of words, my friend. Because today, woof. And by the way, I'm not sure if CSL is going to be with us again. His health issue has acted up again. That's all I'm going to say. He's not terminal. Don't worry. It's just something, constant aggravation, which I am still needling him to give me a Venmo code or something so we can raise money to help him with his medical bills because they're stacking up a little bit. Hopefully he's all right. But but he had to go to the dentist, and one of the things he left for me before he went was this business, this clip that he presented to me. Lovely. I mean, why couldn't he wait till Christmas? The beauty, the majesty, I'm so excited. Now, I have a rule most times, and this has to do with my deference to people of religious faith of all kinds. In that, if I am in your house of worship, I will observe the behaviors, for the most part, of your religion within reason in terms of, just a generalized humility in the space you have created, right? Whether I am a member of your faith or not. It's just what I do. Yes, and it is a banned video, so obviously it doesn't exist. And so usually that pertains to, and you guys have seen this in the past, when somebody prays on screen, I either I skip past it, or I, just sit quietly till it's done. In this instance, I rarely do this, but I kind of feel like I'm going to be calling bullshit on his prayer. Especially after he just screamed at his followers to buy more Infowars bullshit. Just to keep because if you don't buy their t-shirts and dick pills, apparently you're with the enemy. That kind of stuff. If you say that to your own followers, I just feel like your prayer might be hollow and sort of a sales pitch. That's a big judgment for me, but I'm stepping across that line. There you go. And there'll be an ad for this. Look at that. Are these biblical disasters a sign of the end times? No, they're not. I'm sorry to disappoint you. They aren't.
Pray with me.
Oh, boy.
Our Heavenly Father.
Dude, fuck off. You could look at his fucking face when he starts it. Pray with me. Heavenly Father, he lifts his head up. Look at this artificial
Pray with me.
This artificial piety. He goes right in. It's a dead giveaway.
Our Heavenly Father, we come before you meekly and repent for all of our sins and know that our best works are but dirty rags before you and your complete
dirty rags? Our best works are but dirty rags? Oh, he's praying to Satan. That makes sense. See, yeah, right. He's very loud. I apologize. Hold on, it's Rumble, so I'll bring the audio down a touch. If you're praying to the devil, then he would hate the good stuff you do. Right? That makes sense. Logically, you following me? You guys with me on this? If you were praying, let's just say, for the sake of argument, you're praying to Satan. And if to show your fidelity, your piety to the devil, you would say, you would apologize for your good works as if they were sins. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we all just recognize he's obviously praying to Lucifer or some remnant demon thereof, probably a middle management demon, not quite Lucifer, but he says Heavenly Father. So it's a floating demon. It's probably in the ceiling of the studio, some sort of haunting spirit.
Absolute perfection. We thank you for the gift of consciousness and free will.
Well, I mean, free will within reason. Obviously, if you disobey, you're going to hell, and you can live a very good life. But if you don't show fealty to, if you don't actually say basically the words of John 3:16, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're going to burn in hell. So, I mean, it's obviously carrot and stick free will. But okay,
And
you have the free will to fuck up and burn in hell. So okay, sure.
Ask you to enter our souls and to cleanse us of the evil and to set us upright and help us be engines and vessels of truth and justice to stand against the wickedness that is coming against our children, our very genetic code.
Our children and our very genetic code. Hey, dude, I got news for you. If there is a God, it doesn't matter what the fuck they do to your genetic code. It won't alter your immortal soul. So you're obviously full of shit. And then if you don't think they're, if you do believe, which he is pretending to do, I rarely question someone's faith, but I'm calling bullshit on this. This is performative hackery, just like the guys on Flashpoint. He's basically looking at the Flashpoint dollars and going, oh, baby.
In the future of our species, we humbly ask you to intersect now via free will and to come into our hearts and souls together.
Intersect via free will. Okay, contradiction, but...
And as a community, make us strong and give us the vision and to lead, God, and direct us to the important work we must do and to give us the courage.
And the money, more specifically the money, the cash, the customers to buy our lead-filled dick pills and Alex Jones was right-wing t-shirts.
And the commitment and the focus to carry out this task.
Okay, so he now all of a sudden he's shifted into kneeling on the battlefield.
In the name of your great sacrifice of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Yeah, straight to battle plan news. All right, Lord, who am I supposed to kill? What? And again, machine gun fire. Dude, simmer the fuck down. You sit at a big desk covered in fucking paper and bitch into a microphone. Settle the fuck down.
All right, it's not bragging.
Yeah, I don't expect it is.
Believe me, we're a major target, the target. But it's true.
You're not the target. You're not even a target. If you were a target, it's a target, Russian tanks, and they're getting hit and decimated. You're not a target. You're a dipshit. You're a dude with a studio in Austin that cost millions of dollars that you slowly over time eked out of your followers. I know, I'm jealous. Yes, I do want a giant space station-y looking desk. But can I at least have a set like that that's tongue-in-cheek? It can look exactly like that and it would still be fucking hilarious.
We are the main resistance.
No, you're not. And by the way, if you are the main resistance, then you had to be involved in January 6th. So call your lawyer.
We have the enemy plan. We know their operations. We know how to stop them.
Apparently not. Apparently not. Apparently not.
And we're here swinging for the fences.
Because that's a plan. What's our coach? What are we going to do? All Hail Marys. What? Yeah, no ground game. Fuck that. What about short passes? Shotgun? No. All Hail Marys. Just hike and throw it into the end zone. What if there's no guy there? Doesn't fucking matter.
And praying to God to direct us and give us victory.
Well, it's not up to you. Praying for victory is kind of either unnecessary or interfering with the plan itself. I think ultimately, like Deus Vult, right? God's will be done. It doesn't matter if we win. If I'm supposed to lose, I lose. That takes real faith. Saying, make us win, Lord, on behalf of my bank account. It doesn't take any moral fortitude?
The answer to the New World Order.
Which one? Because I think we're on like the third one. Which is it Bretton Woods 3 or Euro $5? Which New World Order are you talking about?
Is everybody becoming awake? And
so wokeness. That I was not expecting that. That caught me off guard. So, Alex, how are you? By the way, the prednisone, dial it back, buddy. I'm not your doctor, but I'm just saying I think he's overdoing it. Either that or you have a shellfish allergy or you have scarlet fever and you got a lot of makeup on. I don't know what's happening, but tap it back. So Alex Jones is fully woke?
I guess you could say we're all Alex Jones, we're all Spartacus.
I hope we're not all Alex Jones because I have no interest in like being on a rocket train towards dialysis
and
never being able to sing again and having the worst case of acid reflux in broadcast history. Yes, Spartacus is more like it. We are all Alex Jones. We are Spartacus.
The good news is...
Oh, good. There's some good news. I was worried for a second.
Not just here in the U.S., but all over the world, there are Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan types.
That's a broad spectrum of types. I'm just saying. If we're fitting them for clothes or if we're... who is this... what are we prepping for? A leg wrestling thing or how to set up a 401k? Because it's a different skill set.
Many of which believed in the system previously, but now know it's predatory and coming after everybody.
Yeah, totally. It's coming after everybody. That's why you're still there. Yeah. It's the deep state is evil, full of baby eaters, but they still can't manage to get some dipshit in a studio that draws more power than the Capitol building in downtown Austin.
And they are now telling their giant audiences that we're dealing with creepy, evil dictators that are our enemies. And it's just a fact. And if we can't address this plan, this Bilderberg group, Davos plan, that Davos is the Bilderberg group.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. By the way, is this not the sweetest fucking t-shirt? I mean, I know it's kind of like low-end merch, but I ordered this. It's a Pentaveret shirt. It's very poorly written, but it's very comfortable. So I like it. This is, Huh? So the Bilderberg group, Davos, and the Illuminati are all in the Pentaveret. Yeah. We shouldn't be surprised at all, obviously, because eventually they would have to join forces. All right.
It's public arm. Then
it's public arm. I see. Okay. So Bilderberg is the deep state of Davos, or Davos is the deep state of fuck, man. I'm going to need, where's Glenn Beck's chalkboard when you need one?
Have no future.
We have no future. Okay.
And I could cover, again, I've already covered some news, but I could cover news all day, and I am going to cover the latest in Ukraine in a moment.
Yeah, it's not going to help us understand anything. So skip it. Just go right to the ranting about
it. But it's this understanding that's everything, that you're not at a football game where it doesn't matter who wins. This is life and death. And these people see you as the enemy because you're eating food and taking resources that they believe is theirs because they took the planet over through fractional reserve banking and derivatives and fraud.
So we are entering into the useless eater storyline, which does conflict directly with the great replacement theory, but I think that might be part of the point.
And instead of going to prison, they plan to crash the whole system, take everything over, vertically integrate things, and make you as poor as possible to then, with a social credit score and universal basic income, after they've made us obsolete, sign on to slow death.
Oh, so we're all going to be eating your diet.
So this is happening, and there's nothing...
He didn't like that remark. You could tell by the way he looked at me.
...more positive when you got a broken leg and a compound fracture and your bone sticking out the side of your leg, to admit you got a broken leg and to go get the damn thing fixed.
Right. It's starting to smell like almonds.
But we're sitting here.
Joe Biden is a fucking enemy agent of the New World Order and is purposely starving and bankrupting our great nation. Friday Live. I'm glad they put on Friday Live there, so I know it's exciting. I would hate to see Joe Biden as a fucking enemy agent of the New World Order who is purposely starving and bankrupting our nation, our great nation, sorry, as a rerun. And look at Joe Biden laughing his ass off with 4 beverages, 2 waters and 2 white wines. What a beta.
With bullet holes in us, bleeding to death. And if we can't admit that we got shot, and if we can't admit that we're in trouble, and if we can't admit the people that did it are getting ready to chop our head off and finish.
Well, I mean, obviously, why would they even go through the process? If your leg is broken, there's a bone sticking out the side, you've been shot multiple times. I mean, that's at a certain point, it's overkill, isn't it? I mean, why would they even put the time in?
The job. Well, then we're done.
Well, I think how many? What kind of shots are we talking about, lunatic? Also, I notice you have a smaller array of paper today, but the stacks are higher. So I compliment you. Have you been watching productivity videos on YouTube, Alex?
You got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to get into survival mode.
That's right. Get out of your comfort zone. Stop eating comfort food. Stop just, jacking off and eating macaroni and cheese and start to, you're not, okay.
You got to get into resistance mode.
Resistance mode. Oh, so get out your pussy hats and get woke. What? Is he just... Please tell me he's going to use some, 1984 bullshit language in a second.
You got to get into the life force. You got to get into the will.
You got to get into the inside, into the downside. Come on, bring it up. You got to get in the out and out the in, and you got to build up the resistance so you can push down and yank it out.
To survive and thrive and have victory.
Yeah, you got to we're not here to survive, okay? Whoops. Shit. Is that the end of it? The fuck happened? Did he just end on survive and thrive and have victory? Is that it? Hold on.
Pray with me.
No.
Hated, feared, and scorned. We only like the caterpillar of consciousness. It's the current larval stage right now. We are only like the caterpillar. All of you to join wills with me now. Sacrifice, you're together. Going and become the butterfly. Only hear you. All of you to join.
What the fuck?
I'm asking all of you to join wills with me now.
Join wills with me now. Far from me, Alex, if you want to put me in your will, just leave me the lighting rig and the camera mixer, and you can keep the Infowars Toxic Avenger logo shit and the weird blue light mapping behind you. And obviously whatever barf container you have just offset. But yeah.
Your will is strong. Your will is old. Your lineage is powerful.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for noticing. I thought in these pants you couldn't really tell, but...
They fear you, and they fear what we're going to do together.
Well, they obviously fear me. Who wouldn't? I mean, obviously I have a razor sharp wit and a fierce smile. I'm terrifying.
We are only in our larval stage right now. We are only...
Speak for yourself. Look, I understand you look like a slug, but...
Like the caterpillar that is now going into the chrysalis to become the butterfly.
Yeah, it's basically... We're like watching the inner dialogue of Jamie Gum in Silence of the Lambs.
The journey has just begun.
We've only just begun. All right.
But we must recognize it, and we must come together.
Yeah. Right now, over me. Okay, so right now, though, so we're a worm about to go into chrysalis with a broken leg, and we've got bullet holes, and someone's going to cut our head off. Never mind. One end of the caterpillar's getting cut off. See, we're either getting our heads cut off or we're getting circumcised. I'm not quite sure.
We must join forces. We must do it before God.
Before God what? Oh, before right in front of God. I mean,
we must commit
I thought we were on a time scale, and I was like, holy shit.
it and sign on to the resistance of Satan.
Oh, the resistance of Satan, not the resistance to Satan. So we're part of Satan's resistance. I'm sorry. I'm starting to be concerned that what you're saying isn't accidental, Alex.
And obedience to God. Resistance to tyrants is obedience to God, so said Thomas Jefferson. And Jefferson also said, I have sworn on the altar of God eternal resistance over every form of tyranny that attacks
And the irony is palpable since you were trying to get Trump back
the mind of man. It was Mark Twain.
Uh-huh. Samuel Clemens, by the way, I dated his great-great-granddaughter in high school. That's true.
The great intellectual that said,
the great intellectual that said, pull my finger.
in the beginning, a patriot is a scarce man, hated, feared, and scorned. But in time, his cause succeeds.
Uh-huh. Uh-oh. He's forgotten what the whole quote is. And he's going to move into paraphrase mode.
The timid join him, because then it costs nothing to be a patriot.
Okay, there we go. All right, yeah, bring it back around.
In the beginning,
there was nothing, and from the nothingness came the Lord, and the Lord said, let there be light, and there was still nothing, but now you can see it.
A patriot is a scarce man, hated, feared, and scorned.
Yeah, so he finally got the teleprompter up so he can reread it.
But in time, when his cause succeeds,
then the timid join him because there's
the
no
timid
cause,
join
and
him.
then they become patriots, right?
Because
yes, that like you, Alex, like you used to shit on the country a lot and stuff, and now that it's stabilized, now that Trump's out of office, and we passed an infrastructure bill, and the country's going back to normal, and even though we're experiencing inflation because of supply shock and other shit in the world, we're doing way better than all the other countries on Earth. But yeah,
then it costs nothing.
Yes, and now you're like, I'm ready to strike a victory. Lord, help us repair the roads and bridges in our fine country. Oh, shit.
To be a patriot. You are the people listening of every race, color, and creed who bleed red blood and love God, that are the tip of that spear, that are that fire of resistance.
Am I the tip of the spear or the fire of the resistance? I mean, if we're making missile analogies, I'm not going to lie. I'm mostly shaft.
The will of God manifest on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And you must recognize who you are.
I do. I every so often I pass a window or a reflective surface and I was like, oh, I love that guy. He's hilarious.
And your strength. Mm-hmm. And know that you do this for the children.
I do. I believe they're the future. Treat them well and let them lead the way. What are we doing for the children? Just to clarify, because I know what I would do for the children. I'm worried about what you would do to the children.
And you must set your will in motion.
See, they had the quote up on icquotes.com. Like, you didn't even have to. All right.
Before God.
And by the way, he totally mangled that quote. In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man and brave and hated and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. Like, it was there on the fucking screen across from him, and he was like, but in the beginning, patriot is brave and scarce, and he's hated and scorned by people.
And that is the great quest. It's the whole point of existence.
Galaxy Quest, actually, is the great quest. Yeah, just saying. Not that Vision Quest isn't a great movie, but
on this planet. Mm-hmm. And I want all of us to join together in eternity with God.
Well, you don't have any choice in the matter. That's not your call. And I know that a bunch of people around you, if that actually does happen and there's a whole judgment day and they're like, yeah, we're going over what you what you did while you were on Earth. A lot of the people you hang with aren't gonna make it. I'm just saying.
And break the will of Satan in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
By the way, this is a sales pitch to sell more lead-infested dick pills. Because if there's an easier way to transition from bloviating asshole to money scrounger, especially in the southern community, having grown up in Kentucky, one of the ways is to find Jesus and just, keep hammering the nails into his hands every fucking day.
I'm going to give the toll-free number out in a moment.
No doubt. So for prayer requests, are we sending in, please? We need, without your blessings, your financial blessings, our third plane will not have a proper oil change, and therefore...
For first-time callers again today, and after we put 20 calls on the board, we'll open it up to all the callers, but I want to give people that have never been able to get through, that have tried so many times, a chance to join us here.
That's very sweet. Because let me guess, because the people you had on regularly are starting to freak out and call you up and say fuck you because you misled them for years. So you're hoping some new suckers have joined recently and they're too timid because you keep invoking God to call you out on anything, because they think that calling out somebody who invokes the name of God is the same thing as taking the name of God in vain. That's what you're hoping for? Fucking hell.
Discuss any topic, any issue. Nothing's off limits.
Nothing? What's that number again?
Nothing's censored.
Nothing's censored. Oh, my goodness.
It's not really a pet peeve. It's just been asked to me thousands of times, and it's always the same answer. Mm-hmm. When you call in, we don't screen your call. If you want to tell us what you're calling about or where you're calling from or what the topic is, that's fine. But you'd say no topic at all. We're going to put you on air. Just have a clean phone line, and then don't ask me on air, can I get into this? Can I get into that? You are welcome here.
As long as we are allowed to get your phone number from that and spam you with texts to purchase lead-filled dick pills and that we call vitamin super D.
And the door is open and the table is round.
No, it isn't. It's kind of crescent-shaped and it's ridiculous.
Meaning we're all listening to each other.
Uh-huh.
And no one's at the head of the table. And I respect you.
Oh, like Freemasonry, where everybody's on the level? Oh, guess not.
And I want to hear your ideas.
Guess what? Guess what? Guess what, Alex? Guess what? Guess what, Alex?
And I appreciate you, brothers and sisters.
Thank you for saying both. I didn't realize this was a party line.
The toll-free number to join us is 877-789-2539, 877-789-ALEX.
Shebin89 Alex.
877-789-2539. Before I get back into the news, I just want to take a few minutes out here to recognize and appreciate the great crew and the wonderful work they do.
Yes, this is Gary. He cuts all of our promos, and this is, of course, the Archangel Michael, who is responsible for our customer outreach and our ad campaigns and the like. I mean, it's his promoted tweets are some of the most lucrative in the business.
And to thank all the great listeners and activists and our sponsors and our radio affiliates and TV affiliates from WWCR right down the line and all the great work they do, because...
Oh, so you're just on one station?
When I get the credit for this broadcast, I do not deserve it.
Well, come on. Sure you do, Alex. Oh, I see. You don't want to bear the responsibility either. This is ringing the dinner bell for lunatics so that he can allow things to be espoused on his program that he tacitly agrees with, so that he has no... Oh, it's like his own personal Section 230, right?
God comes first. You come second.
I don't know if I can wait that long.
Just a focal point because I have trouble bending over.
Have you met Dinesh D'Souza? I have no doubt you have trouble putting your shoes on, Alex. No. No, 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 no.
And to thank all the great listeners and activists in our service. God comes first, you come second. I'm just a focal point because I have trouble bending over.
How do they walk into this like this? It's like Dinesh the other day. That's fucking and look at his face.
Because when I get the credit for this broadcast, I do not deserve it. God comes first, you come second. I'm just a focal point because I have trouble bending over. I have.
Okay. Fucking hell. Quit it. Just. Oh, God. It's like once a show now. I don't know what's happened. I don't know. Shit. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. It's so... Oh, all right.
I have trouble watching scams.
Oh, you have trouble watching scams, so you don't review the quarterly reports on the Infowars store. Then I guess.
I have trouble watching liars get away with things. I get angry at pedophiles.
Just angry. You get angry at pedophiles for what? Not returning your phone calls? Matt Gaetz won't be on the show anymore?
I have a drive to resist these people because I know who they are. And
yeah, the rest of us don't have a drive to resist pedophiles. We can kind of take it or leave it.
And I know they must be stopped because I know deep down the fire I've got in my heart and my belly.
I think that's just acid reflux, honestly. I mean, judging from your voice. Oh, I'll clip it, Luis. Don't worry.
And my will that's driving me to defeat these people is because that's what God demands. It is not something you elect to do. You will do it or you will be cut off for eternity from God and be put with these people.
With these people? Why the fuck are they in my fucking business?
And you do not want to be with the left-hand path. You do not want to be with Aleister Crowley and Madame Blavatsky.
I don't know. It sounds like a party.
And the whole New World Order.
They were part of the New World Order? I thought they were just kind of like an adjunct Church of Satan-y kind of thing or whatever. I don't know that that's the same thing. I think the fear you have of the New World Order is some sort of alien hyper science view of things as opposed to, well, I guess it's all demons.
And their whole system of where they've gone.
Don't point at me like that. Don't them their whole system. My pronouns are he, him.
You want to be with the progenitor of life, the creator of free will, the true architect of the entire system.
Why'd you make a triangle with your hands? Why'd you do some sort of weird... I'm just saying. I don't know if anybody's noticing this.
It's said that Satan's called the great architect. People go,
oh, it's said that Satan's called the great architect? No, it isn't. I mean, well, by your friends.
Oh, you call the great architect. You're talking about Satan. No, Satan is a counterfeit.
I see.
And everything Satan claims he gives you is a lie. Satan.
Oh, so you're back to projecting.
Claims, great sex, wild parties. God gave us sex.
Boy, did he.
God gave us wealth. God gave us everything we have. And we have to recognize that and make that interdimensional, intergalactic, interstellar.
Why did they just show a pregnant trans man?
Connection to that, and it's there and it's waiting for the.
Why did he say God gave us sex? Meaning intercourse, by the way, not like biological sex.
Channel to be open, but you must open the channel.
Yeah, the channel must be open. We must open the channel. And is your channel open, Alex? I think so. I mean, you have trouble bending over. I understand. It's hard to tell.
Open the channel with us today.
Sure. Let's all open our channels. I'm getting creeped out.
877-789-2539. We're going to go to break.
Thank God.
We're going to come back. We're going to cover a ton of news on Russia, the economy, censorship, Elon Musk, and so much more.
I'm already bored.
A bunch of key clips. Joe Rogan going after Trudeau up in Canada.
Yawn.
And so much more.
Yeah, why, again, have they fallen so far? People want to tune into Alex Jones to see clips of Joe Rogan complaining about the Prime Minister of Canada? Whatever happened to, like, baby milkshake eating aliens from Xenon or some shit? Remember that? Remember the old school Alex Jones where the Bilderberg group was going to turn us all into, you know, chuck us into a wood chipper and make us into pate, and while they depopulate the earth by consuming us as food? Now we're getting secondhand opinions about the Prime Minister of Canada.
Today on the Infowar. Infowars.com.
Yeah, we don't. It's infotainmentwars.com, by the way, for the record. And like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show in any way that you can. And if you can't, I'm sorry, I'm not going to assume that you're the enemy. I'm not even going to assume that some of the trolls that are with us today are the enemy. I mean, I think you're a deluded asshole, but I don't think you don't have worth as a human being. I think you have a lot of worth as a deluded asshole. It brings us so much joy. Infowars, right?
The resistance lives.
The resistance lives here. So, is there a pussy hat in the Infowars store? I haven't looked.
Infowars.com. The tip of the spear.
The butt of the joke.
Infowars.
The wing of the eagle. The skull of Yorick.
.com. The shield and sword of the people.
Yeah. More like the sandbag and bunker and can of beans of the people, but sure.
You are the Infowar.
I am. No wonder I'm tired.
You made the Infowar.
I did not. I cannot claim, any credit whatsoever.
And I thank you and I salute you.
You don't salute me. I it's not that I don't appreciate it. It's just when you put your arm up, the smell is overwhelming. Oh, God, and there's a logo, and then they go to the store. All right, let's go back. Hi, you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, and that was Alex Jones praying for America. Don't you feel so much safer? Don't you feel that the future, while full of fire and destruction and death and heartache and caramelized flesh and alien baby juice drinkers, in spite of all that, it's almost relaxing. You can just kind of settle into doomsday. But if you don't forget to buy your supplements, because that'll help you survive long enough to see the world turn into a flaming shithole. Also, wear a T-shirt for the end times, I suppose. How do you sell shit if you have no hope for the future? I mean, obviously they sell prepper food. That's one of the ways they do it. But everything else they sell, you're like, how do real viewers of Infowars take their supplements? I don't even know if I want to be alive tomorrow, much less feel good. The pain's the only thing that makes me forget. But, he has trouble bending over, so what are you going to do? Now, next up, we have some, you know, how do you top that, kids? How do you jump? Oh, how do you leapfrog over that amount of polarized, duplicitous, bullshit piety, and mixed with idiocy all at once? How do you do it? Well, it's not easy. It requires some effort. You've got to bring two people together that are brutally, ridiculously stupid to say stuff that is, you know, clearly above their pay grade intellectually, psychologically, and like this. Obviously, this lineup has been a long time coming. This is, for those of you that don't know, this is Bongholio, who is looking for TP for his bunghole. And I think Alex might be able to help him out with that, Alex Jones. And then, of course, this is the namesake progeny of Donald Trump Jr., the only man in the world who has managed to grow a beard and make his chin look smaller in the process. It's incredible. It's not easy, but he did it. He's in the Guinness Book for a reason. What ad is
Big time deals are going
all
on
right,
now
tires.
at Discount Tires.
That's all right. Tires are okay.
Get $110 in instant
That's a lot.
on any
How much are the tires, though? I mean, they're at a
Get
discount.
30%
off.
average wait time when you buy and book online at discounttire.com.
30% average. Wait a minute.
I can't.
30% average wait time buying tires? How the fuck do they manage to measure that? We'll find out. Hold on. And I've got it. Is this? Yeah, the volume's okay. So Merrick Garland, October 21st, 2021.
I can't imagine any circumstance in which the Patriot Act would be used in the circumstances of parents complaining about their children, nor can I imagine a circumstance where they would be labeled as domestic terrorism.
Yeah, that was a lie.
No, it wasn't.
Now, two Republican congressmen say that's exactly what was happening, and they.
Yeah, but that's what they said was happening back then before he even said it. Let him, he'll straighten it out.
They have the evidence to back it up.
Oh, yeah?
Joining me now is Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization.
Executive Vice President. It's, yeah, 2 tiers down and 1 tier up.
Donald Trump Jr. Don, thanks for spending some time with us here.
Yeah, we were trying to find somebody who knew less about this than I do, and man, it was hard. So thanks for coming on.
You know, Don, listen, Merrick Garland is obviously lying, okay? We now have evidence that the FBI did, in fact, probably at his instruction, target these parents.
Target? Just targeted parents, just for talking and stuff? Not looking into the ones that were doing death threats, the actual death threats that were given out? I mean, no, this is just abstract. Just any parent that bitched at a PTA meeting or a school board meeting.
Why can't they just come out and admit at this point?
Why don't you just come out at this and admit at this point that they didn't?
They're becoming an enforcement arm of the Democrat Party. It's sad to watch.
It is sad. I'm sad. It's heartbreaking.
It really is, and it's absolutely disgusting. The fact that they're not focused on actual domestic terrorists. We watched,
Oh, you mean like right-wing domestic terror, like they were warning about, like the fucking Buffalo shooter and assholes like him? That last summer, the DOJ, and last October, actually, when Merrick Garland sat down at that very same thing, was talking about the rise of domestic terror and how that is their biggest current domestic threat, because those are the guys who go and shoot places up, and they are the most, like, they have the most, like, planning behind it. They are technically lone wolves because they're alone, but they are strategizing with other people, talking on like Reddit threads and shit like that. Dude wrote a fucking 110-page manifesto. But when Merrick Garland came out and said, yeah, our biggest problem really is physical threat to Americans is domestic terror subjects, like the guy who shot up the Buffalo supermarket. And these guys were like, they're trying to make every conservative a criminal.
Portland, Seattle, and every other major city in America burned for 2 years, and those
burned for 2 years and still standing. I had no idea, but apparently Portland is made entirely out of asbestos.
people were just fine. But if you're a parent that complains about your children being indoctrinated in our public school systems, you are labeled a domestic terrorist.
No, you're not. if you threaten to murder the school administrator, the vice principal, the school board members, teachers themselves, then you're labeled a domestic terrorist because you were doing it for political reasons, not even specifically revenge against something your kid was taught. It's in the abstract, it's politically based, and that's what makes it domestic terrorism. It's not even hard to figure out.
By the highest branches of federal law enforcement. I mean, it's absolutely...
Let me guess, it's disgusting?
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I'm glad he doesn't repeat the same phrases over and over again like his dad.
That this is going on in the United States.
It isn't, though. It would be disgusting, I suppose, but it isn't.
In 2022, or frankly, at any other time.
Yeah, it would have been terrible in 1814.
In history, Dan, it's really...
Yeah, it would have been terrible if this had happened in America in 1307.
Terrible, but it is happening, and people have to start making their voices heard.
Why? So they can be targeted by the DOJ? If they even complain, don't you realize they're going to be put on a watch list? What are you encouraging them for?
Must not be afraid, because that's what the tactics they're trying to employ. They're trying to scare you.
Actually, it sounds like you're trying to scare them. It sounds like these guys are trying to scare parents into you can't even speak up or you're going to be put on a watch list, which would scare most normal parents, even ones who are, QAnon and Don Jr. fans.
To allow this garbage to continue. And you're going to destroy our education system, which is bad enough as it is. You're going to destroy it, and you're going to destroy our children's future if we don't stand up to this nonsense.
Just end the sentence with nonsense. That's a Don Jr. Strategy for communication. Just end it with nonsense. And people go, it is nonsense. I like common sense, and I like hearing the word nonsense.
And Don, the good news is there is a silver lining. You're starting to see whistleblowers from the FBI come forward. A lot of decent people over there have had enough of this crap. But the leadership, Don, there's clearly a problem.
No, there isn't, Don. Put something on fucking screen. What are you even talking about? Literally, Merrick Garland denies it in October. It's fucking May.
I mean, your father got slammed for firing Jim Comey, which was probably one of the best decisions ever made from the executive office of the president.
Yeah, but he put Chris Wray in charge. How'd that work out? I mean, it's obviously an improvement, but,
But clearly, that wasn't enough. I think Republicans running for office now, I know you're campaigning for a lot of people, they have to commit to taking a look at this at the DOJ and FBI. We don't want partisans. We don't want conservatives or liberals. We want law enforcement officials who pledge to enforcing the law.
Yeah, that's what you do have. You do have that. You just think that your folks, your side of the aisle, can run afoul of the law and never actually pay anything for it. That politically, just because you believe that you're driven to do this because you think you've read a bunch of OK groomer threads on Twitter, that you can threaten to kill a principal of a school or a school board member and not have anything happen to you. You can't get a knock on your door from the fucking FBI going, hi, were you planning on following through with that phone call? How'd you guys know? Well, because this person keeps getting threats. And we saw your number pop up 4 times, and we have their phone tapped at their request, and we have your voice on a recording threatening to set fire to their house and stab their children and calling them, a pedophile or something, and they don't even work at your kid's school.
100%, and I mean...
100%. And this is such nonsense, and it's disgusting.
And I see that with so many of the people that I know in law enforcement. We have to make the
the door kickers.
Distinction, as you know, Dan, between the door kickers.
Motherfucker. The door kickers.
The guys doing the actual work.
The guys kicking the actual doors. The guys doing the actual work. Yeah, investigators don't do anything. The only part of law enforcement that has any meaning is the part where somebody kicks a lock. The fucking...
They're disgusted with what's going on in leadership, but our leadership is broken, whether it's the upper echelons of, law enforcement.
The upper echelons? It's pronounced enchilada.
Whether it's the FBI, the DOJ, you see the same thing with the military.
And it's just disgusting, and there's nonsense.
When our generals get on stage in front of Congress,
and say woke stuff.
They could not have seen what happened in Afghanistan happening.
No, they knew it was an issue. That's why they kept talking everybody out of leaving, and that's why everybody stayed until Biden went, I don't give a fuck, we're out.
If these people aren't capable of seeing those things after being in a venue for 20 years, they're incapable of actually leading.
No, none of them can predict a suicide bomber or that the Taliban, who your dad made a fucking deal with, would allow a suicide bomber through simply to blow up a bunch of Afghans trying to flee so that they wouldn't have to suffer this brain drain. They could scare people away from leaving.
They should not be in those positions. And we've seen
if they're, all of our generals must pass a psychic test.
of the woke wing of military and law enforcement take over the upper echelons.
The upper echelons.
And you've seen what the results. I don't know that the FBI has actually prevented a crime in decades because
for the record, and most law enforcement operates this way, that the presumption is, and this is, I don't know if this might be new to Don and certainly new to Bongholio, is the presumption is that when you put someone in jail, the reason you incarcerate them is because in theory, if you don't, they will do it again. So technically, everyone they've arrested and everyone they put behind bars is at least one, if not multiple crimes that were prevented.
because they're too busy worrying about nonsense. They're
Nonsense again.
too busy making sure that if your grandmother took a selfie somewhere near the Capitol or within 1,500 miles of Washington, D.C. on January 6th.
But it depends on what she was doing in the selfie. Dan, what was your grandmother doing in that selfie? And why does he bring it up? I don't think that's right.
That they're in the gulags.
The gulags. For the record, we have no gulags.
While actual terrorists get free reign and probably help, based on everything I've seen as it relates to the entrapment and all the other failed
Oh, so it's not just that the FBI and the DOJ are supposedly attacking parents. It's that the FBI and the DOJ are financing terror inside the United States. And why does he think this? Because they're finally going after his dad for the crimes that he's broken over the years again and again and never seen any responsibility for.
persecutions that they've tried pushing on the American people over the last couple of months.
What do you mean, yeah? That was it? Yeah. I think we all learned a lot. I think in over the course of the next few weeks, look for Don Jr., certainly more than Eric, to show up repeatedly to defend his dad and therefore his nest egg and his inheritance vociferously as the news starts to tighten around the political misgivings and criminality of the Trump organization. And remember that Donald Trump put him in charge of the company while he was president, and all kinds of crimes were committed in that overlap. Everything they say about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden is true of Don and his dad. So Don and Don, and who acted like a bunch of Dons. I'm just saying. Okay, and that was the end of the noise. Now, hold on. And now, if I may, let's see. Now, so far, we have heard from two today. We've heard from two conservative powerhouses, and three halves. So one and a half divided among three grown men. And no, not Russell. We're going to skip. Yeah, Stu Peters. We're going to. We haven't seen this guy in a while, so this will be interesting. And he's got a guest on that I don't think we've ever done in that regard. We've seen these three powerhouses, all of them arguing for the dissolution of major parts of the U.S. government and the overall destruction of the country through the effectively destroying the function of society, because they're getting called out for their criminality and bullshit. Alex and his Sandy Hook accusations, which tortured the parents of children who were slaughtered. And of course, Don Jr. and Bongholio, who have been selling this book of bullshit for a long time. And, obviously the Trump organization's money is drying up, and Bongholio lost his radio show and had to pretend it had something to do with vaccines when it absolutely did not. Meanwhile, way across town, this guy, Kurt Schlichter, is on with Sebastian Gorka, telling us that this is the title of this one. It's called "The Left's War on America." So I don't know if you know this, but I don't know whether they would categorically consider me, quote, the left. Everybody plays fast and loose these days with left versus lefty versus leftist versus, neocon, enlightened centrist to right-wing douchebag. So Dennis Prager has COVID again. Oh my God. Well, I hope he's okay, but he probably got it from Dinesh. So this is, and I always like, you guys know me, I love to hear what my plan to destroy the world is, though. I always forget to write it down. And so it's good that there's sort of a cheat sheet on Rumble anytime I want so that I can watch and find out. Do you think Biden needs a cognitive test? No. The irony. The Gorka reality check. The important thing is that we don't talk like elitists to people. Mike's very loud. You can hear the left's war on America is Planned Parenthood, Flames in the Streets, and of course, Handmaid's Tale, which is actually women dressed like that to protest the anti-choice ruling that is going to be coming down from the Supreme Court. And of course, I'm sure that he only picked a Jewish senator on accident.
The worst war in American history, what was it? Was it fighting the Nazis? Was it in the trenches of World War I? Was it in the jungles of Vietnam?
None of those were in America, but I'm going to go with the Civil War, because it almost tore us apart. The Revolutionary War was tough, but we were fighting someone on the other side of the pond, as it were. And I guess there's a chance that the War of 1812 was pretty rough. I mean, ultimately, if you're on the receiving end of a musket ball or a bayonet, it's not fun.
No, of course not.
No, of course not.
It was the Civil War, in which 600,000
See, I was right.
Americans were killed by their brothers, their cousins, and their neighbors.
Yeah, and all because they farted at the dinner table.
Is it going to happen again?
No.
If it were up to the left, yes.
So I think where he's going with this is that the left thinks that they're going to fight a civil war with like emotional pressure and kerosene tennis balls like Antifa and cans of soup, and that the right will just show up with all their AR-15s, and the left wants that.
Just look, the riots, BLM, Antifa,
Yeah, I can barely go outside. It's everywhere I go. Like yesterday, who hasn't gone outside and just like it? I mean, the whole world is on fire right now. Shit.
Intimidation against the justices, the targeting of parents by the FBI, that does not bode well.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's pretty rudimentary, actually, as far as American history goes. We've had little bumps and ruffles along the way like this a lot, especially around legal rulings that are uncomfortable. I mean, if you'll recall, National Guardsmen had to be brought in to protect a black girl as she went to school for the first time against a state law through an action by the Supreme Court, and it got pretty dicey. Some people were even talking about we were on the verge of a civil war back then. As a matter of fact, it gave birth to a couple of attempts, namely the Manson family.
Who would win? Well, let's talk to somebody who's game.
who would win.
This all out.
He's gamed out the civil war in America. All right, so while the Ukraine conflict is going on and Russia has invaded and is murdering Ukrainian citizens and then trying to claim victimhood for itself after invading someplace in a way that is comically ridiculous, this asshole has gotten out his crayons and is going to draw a map of what the Civil War would look like or how the states are going to separate.
Participated in protecting the streets of America from looters in the LA riots. I call him Colonel K, senior columnist at townhall.com, author most recently of the fabulous book, We'll Be Back. Kurt Schlichter, welcome.
The Fall and Rise of America. And he's live from an overblown office where no one has taught him the magic of f-stops.
Welcome to the Gorka Reality Check.
Thank you, Dr. Gorka. Great to be here.
So let's start. You're a lawyer, as being a soldier, a lawyer, an author.
Yes, it's the tinker, lawyer, soldier guy.
I got to start with a matter of the law. So there's the federal law.
I'm already bored. Now, I never knew that the total destruction of America and that the second Civil War would arrive. And I'd be shockingly bored. Yes, his name is Kirk Sphincter.
About obstructing justice, trying to intimidate judges in the...
So it protects the government process, obstruction of pending proceeding, 18 U.S. Okay. Or disturbing the peace. Yeah, to keep people from charging into the Capitol, because there weren't enough laws in the books that were distinct enough so that some of these assholes who went into the Capitol and tried to stop things, they weren't able to charge them on anything other than trespassing. They needed a much more specific law.
Judicial process. We have the code. It's very clear. It is a felony to try and do that. We have the same in Virginia. You're not allowed to do that outside the home.
Oh, they're just talking about picketing outside of a Supreme Court justice's house.
Of judges. So the Commonwealth, where 3 of the justices...
That's because of specifically around rulings that are directed at a particular party. Like their concern was like union people wouldn't like the ruling of a particular judge and would walk around in front of their house. That said, what they're basically saying is that because a bunch of women showed up and men who care about their rights showed up in front of a Supreme Court justice's house and started complaining about the draft opinion that came out, that's the same as January 6th. Basically, 6 of one, half dozen of another. And they'll crank this shit up in an attempt to downplay. Again, this is one of those, we'll get
live. And I was very clear. I live in the Commonwealth. And I asked Glenn Youngkin openly, they wrote it up in an article, what are you doing about it? Because I spoke to the state troopers, a very senior former officer who said, yes, Governor Youngkin can deploy the state troopers to protect those homes from the protesters.
Yeah, but they weren't harming their homes. They stayed on public property. They weren't throwing things.
What is going on?
What's going on is that they showed up there but did not act like maggots.
Colonel K, do we have rule of law in America?
Yes. Yeah, we do.
Well, look, I think the rule...
Look, I sure. I mean, obviously they did. There's a rule about it, and then people showed up, and then they went home, and not a lot happened, and free speech, and yeah.
Rule of law has been under attack. You look.
Well, yes, during the Trump administration, sure.
At the massive overreaction and subsequent persecutions of the January 6th people, and
yes, the massive overreaction. I mean, who hasn't beaten a cop with a Blue Lives Matter flag? I mean, honestly. If I had a nickel for every time I tried to gouge out a cop's eye just because an election didn't go my way, I'd have 32 cents.
And then you look at this. The law is clear. Now, I think there are constitutional challenges to the law.
Right. Watch this asshole have to tie himself in a knot about this. Because as free speech and First Amendment absolutists, there's an issue with this particular law because if it was turned their direction and used against them, they'd be, crying foul. But since it's you know, its current state, I mean, you got to follow the law as it is right now. Unless, of course, you're storming up the stairs at the Capitol and beating up cops along the way.
The way to do that is to go file a lawsuit saying, hey, I want to protest in front of Amy Coney Barrett's house, and you guys aren't letting me. I think that's unconstitutional. And then we can litigate that.
Yes, litigate it and stuff. Just, yeah, wait. Just hang out. Hang out. Let it, you know what? Since it's a judge, let another judge decide whether you have the right to protest in front of a judge's house of someone who specifically showed up to deny your rights. Yeah, that works.
That right now it is
who wouldn't wait for that?
Unlawful, and I see federal officers out there not enforcing the law. I see Glenn Youngkin not having state officers enforce the law.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. The Republican leadership in any of these situations just fucking sucks. I mean, they had one job, right, Schwenkter?
I
can't even. In my head, I'm like,
I would like to know more. I'd like to know the reasoning behind it. Maybe there is a good reason. Maybe there.
Yeah, who knows? It could be good or bad. I mean, he's a Republican, and so, but he's not stopping them from being in front of Amy Coney Barrett. And I think that
standing more than 100 feet away or some other issue. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad he brought you on to talk about it. That's good. I'm glad, because that's what what the fuck, what network is this shit on? Is this on Newsmax or OAN or RAV? Does anybody know? Whatever network this is on, that's what I turn to for less information that I already have. It's kind of like the opposite of Google. It's like if somebody made a search engine, then that no matter what you typed in, it just went, beats me.
Glenn Youngkin's earned a little bit of the benefit of the doubt.
No, I don't think he has.
Because he's come in and done a lot of great things in Virginia.
Sure.
But I'd like to hear more, and it's a very...
It is Newsmax, Lalo? Yeah, okay. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon, and then, of course, there's Venmo right there if you want to help the show. And don't forget, and then, look, we're trying to keep our subs up. 1022, we're up to 1030. And we're trying to get to 2,500, and I'm just pointing at that. No pressure.
Yes.
You can also, if you're on YouTube, you can become a member there as well. That works as well. Just say it. That's potential. It fills up the little cup over here. See that thing? It makes it dance. Oh, crap. Sorry. I hit the fucking dabba. America's new abnormal. Shut up. Okay, hold on.
Of the law. So, judges in the so the Governor Youngkin can deploy the state troopers.
The massive overreaction and subsequent persecutions of the January.
Yada.
Officers out there. Not the reasoning behind is he's come in and that's between the way that people on one side of the political aisle are treated and the way other people are being treated on.
Yeah, it seems so unfair. They're just like letting everybody, the rioters, go, not because they really are, but because I'm saying they are from the Antifa, and BLM riots, so-called, over the course of the summer of 2020. Never mind that a bunch of them have been prosecuted, and then there are warrants out for a bunch of them on the federal and state and local level. But let's pretend that doesn't exist so that we can say that only the Jan 6ers who, carried a Confederate flag or beat cops are being persecuted by the regime.
On the other side of the political aisle, we can't have that. That is poisonous to a free country. That is,
by the way, at a certain point, if you don't have something to say, you need to kick up the rhetoric as much as possible so that there's a quotable title.
Dual track system of justice is one of the most deadly infections, the deadly pathology.
See, deadly infection, deadly pathology. It's the dual tracks of it. So I'm still bored.
Inside the body politic for a free country, it can't exist, and it kind of looks like it does now. And we've got to
look out. It kind of looks like it does now. Kurt Schwenkter.
Address that.
You've written several very successful non-fictional works. You have your regular column at townhall.com, but you are known for this series of 6 Kelly Turnbull fiction novels, the last one being Split.
He said 6, not sex. People's Republic, Indian country, wildfire, split, crisis, collapse. Oh, so he makes shit up. All right. Well, I'm a big fan of fiction. By the way, I'm sure if have you thought about calling Kevin Sorbo? Because I'm sure he would love to have. He could probably get the rights to your books, and then he'd have 6 more projects no one wants to do.
Civil War type scenario in America.
Yeah, it's whacking material. It's like a cross between the Turner Diaries and a Penthouse letter.
Why did you write these? Are you afraid of this, or is this a clarion call and a warning, Colonel?
I think it's because there's an audience of gullible assholes who masturbate to the idea of fighting another civil war, and he's found an audience.
Okay.
Inside the war on America. There isn't one, just in case you haven't looked out a window lately. I don't want everybody to panic like, Jesus Christ, look at the Chiron.
Well, I think both of it. Now, I served in Kosovo in 2005, right after the war, not soon after. And what I saw there was kind of shocking. Look, I'm just a California suburban kid with roots in rural Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I'm just a Kentucky redneck who went to high school in Chicago and packed all his shit in his car and drove to LA when he was 18 years old to chase his dream. What the fuck do I know, Kurt?
I'm a very normal guy, and I
citation needed.
And I grew up in a very normal time, kind of.
No, there's never been a normal time.
The 70s, 80s, 90s.
That wasn't normal. There was a lot of dude, we hid under our desk from nukes. We had the Iranian oil and hostage crisis. We had like the spike of gang violence in the early 90s. The big one. If he lived in California during the big one, I'm pretty sure. Like there was never normal. Fucking Iran-Contra. Everybody bitching about, we haven't seen inflation like this in 40 years. That was the 40 years ago he's talking about. And it was 6 points higher than it is now.
And then I started seeing things fall apart. And then I saw what happens when things really fall apart.
No, you didn't. You're sitting in an air-conditioned office, fuckwad.
In the Balkans. In
the Balkans. And if it can happen in the Balkans, I mean, what's the difference?
Gotta say, it really affected me. You walk through a ruined village where every building's knocked down, and it wasn't done by artillery, it was done by people with sledgehammers because they hated their neighbors that much. And it has an effect on you. Yeah, it's a warning. The way we solve problems is the way you and I were just talking about. If you don't like a law, you go to court and you challenge it.
Right. You don't run up the steps of the fucking Capitol, beating cops along the way, building a gallows on the fucking lawn, and threatening to murder the vice president, you piece of shit. Holy fucking hell. What? Get the hell out of here. I'm sorry, we are peaking the irony meter.
Yeah. You don't try and intimidate judges.
Get the fuck out of here.
Into going your way.
They drew chalk outlines for dead women. They drew fucking hangers on the ground because they were concerned women are going to die from illicit and illegal abortions. They are concerned for the lives of women in general, in specific. And they went there to cry out and to draw on the fucking sidewalk. They didn't bring a fucking gallows, dum-dum. Tell you what, the minute one of these groups builds a gallows on Clarence Thomas or Amy Coney Barrett or Alito or Roberts or Thomas's lawn or Kavanaugh's lawn, that fucking put on your headset like a day trader from 1994 and call me.
Argue. Look, I don't mind a fight. I was a soldier. Sometimes you gotta fight.
Right. That ain't this.
But but that's
hype train. Thanks, Twitch.
It's not how we're supposed to resolve our differences and resolve our politics.
Right. So we agree. January 6th was fucked up. And people shouldn't do that. And if they do that, they should go to jail. Right?
The thing is, Dr. Gorka, we have this wonderful
doctor.
Gift that we were given by the
Unless unless he puts on a rubber glove.
founders. It's the Constitution. I have, in my studies and my travels, I have yet to see anything that approaches it as a guidepost for living in a society and a way to govern the.
Right, which is why you don't charge up the steps of the fucking Capitol and try to stop the peaceful transfer of power in the most important democracy on the fucking planet, dum-dum. All these assholes are doing is arguing against letting anybody from the Jan 6ers out, and if not, putting more of those assholes in jail.
Society. It's not perfect, but we need to do it. We need to embrace the Constitution, embrace the rights that it talks about there, not rights it gives, because God is the only one who gives us rights. The Constitution merely acknowledges what already exists.
Yeah, but your God-given rights are your rights to pursue those things, not to have them. Government is there in case your pursuit falls short sometimes. If you're not, let's just say the Soviet Union exists, and you, Kurt, and Seb aren't on your own able to marshal up enough of a military to fight back so that they don't destroy your system of government and therefore steal all your intellectual property, kick you off the air for criticizing the government, which you would have no right to do, or just kill you because you're taking up space and you're not in the inside circle, the government would step in and go, we got this. We put a military together so you don't have to. And if you want to join, you can, but there's no forcible joining anymore. Like that. No, that's not what you're talking about.
And the problem is there are a lot of people who aren't getting what they want.
Yes. Some of those people are in jail over January 6th. Go on.
And then they want to throw the Constitution out, whether it's throwing out a filibuster, which is not in the Constitution, but
But what?
It's kind of an established precedent.
Yeah. Constitution, established precedent. They're basically the same thing. It's like, it's not in the Constitution specifically that gay people can't get married, but it was sort of an established precedent for a while, just like Roe v. Wade was. But, if we want it, I don't know. We're just on either...
throwing out the Electoral College, limiting free speech.
Yeah. You're getting a call. It's the Electoral College on the line.
It's it's a real problem.
Yes, so is finding the Do Not Disturb button on your phone.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
No, he's not. He didn't say anything worthwhile. Yeah, I'm tired of these assholes finishing up other people's thoughts by saying you're absolutely right. It's so true. And
it's an amazing gift that's been given us, this Constitution, unlike any other in the world.
And you would probably be hesitant to storm the steps of the primary government building and interrupt the processes written into that Constitution if you... Oh, no?
It is the protection, it is the enumeration of our God-given rights, and we have to protect that document and that principles, and we thank you for doing that in and out of uniform. The new book is...
Dude, look, I appreciate everybody's service or whatever, but he was in Kosovo after the fucking fighting. Just stop acting like he threw himself on a fucking grenade. Meanwhile, these assholes would shit on Tammy Duckworth all afternoon.
We'll be back. That is the nonfiction by Colonel K. Read him at townhall.com. And of course,
why are you pointing? That's just impolite. And I'm going to go with that's not an actual copy of the book. That's a mock-up. If it's in hardcover, I'd be shocked.
Incredible series of Kelly Turnbull adventure novels.
Boring.
Next, we're going to talk to one of the real...
Oh, I could answer that question. No, it's not. You're welcome.
Warriors for MAGA on Capitol Hill and ask the key question. Who's winning? Is MAGA winning? And can we win the fight to protect the unborn? That's next on the Reality Check.
Yes, you're going to win the fight to protect the unborn so that you can kill them once they're born in a myriad of ways. And I guess get a prurient interest in, out of watching them perish. Is that the fetish, Seb? Fucking hell. You're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. You know, they post these clips, and I don't cherry pick pieces out of them. I do the whole thing. That's what they put up as an example of their argument. He had this dude Kurt Schilling on to talk about how the Jan 6ers are an example of people expressing their constitutional rights, even though they went there to violently interrupt a constitutional process. Meanwhile, people who picketed peacefully outside of a Supreme Court justice's house by drawing chalk outlines of of women on the street and coat hangers, those people need to be prosecuted because they're no different than BLM and Antifa responding to George Floyd 2 years ago. Jesus Christ. All right, one last one. I don't know what is happening in MAGA world, but they're going full throwback to like air traffic controller level headgear. Plenty of men with an enlarged prostate do not know about this simple solution. Boink. No, that's not what they're talking about.
Can't want to bring in Darren Beatty. We got Darren.
So good. Let's bring in Darren Beatty. The only guy who looks worse on camera than you do, Steve. And he just gave up on trying a long time ago. Is that what it is? Just fuck it.
For a few minutes, he's going to hang with us, and we got.
Oh, hey, cool. It's a hang, people. Let's do it.
Hopefully, Kathy Barnett.
Yeah, hopefully she can come by. We can all hang out. You know.
I guess these politicians are on all over the map today, which they should be. Darren, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't I put?
You're wrong. I mean, I don't know what specifically you're talking about, but it's happened so often. I just feel like I should put
a thing on disclosure. I think I sent to you that the bots. There's a report out that said the bots are at least 10% to 15% of Twitter's total active users.
Yeah. Right. Most of them are the people that call for violence or try to turn groups against one another, and a lot of them are bought and paid for by the likes of Steve Bannon's buddy Gore and the MAGA crowd.
Right, some independent group. And
yeah, it's an independent group.
Obviously, Musk knew that. Let's talk about the.
Obviously, it has nothing to do with the fact that he leveraged the money and the cash he was going to use to buy Twitter against his Tesla stock, and it had to stay above $740 a share for him to be able to leverage that amount of money, and it dropped to $728, and so he put the whole thing on pause because he couldn't get access to the funding from his own stock because everybody was like, well, it's going to keep going down, and we're worried about being able to make that money back.
Twitter deal. Before I'm going to bring you back on the most important issues about the collapse of the complex system.
Yeah, the collapse of the complex system. Thank God. So we can go back to simpler times, you know, where people died of consumption after a gunfight using a 6-shooter, and as your wife developed a laudanum addiction.
And our corrupt establishment voting to send $40 billion. Darren Beatty had an amazing piece.
Voting to send $40 billion to Ukraine, by the way.
It's the reason we got an amazing piece about this entire topic. Right, and what the $40 billion and who's supporting it, the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, totally. Didn't you love the horseshoe theory around these assholes right now when it serves them all of a sudden? They're against military expansion and adventurism by the U.S. government. Now it's bad. Now because it's Russia and Russia's getting their ass handed to them. Suddenly these guys are like, look at this fucking... Raytheon was making all this money. Oh, fuck off.
My sources...
By the way, the fucking javelins and the howitzers are both come from BAE.
Just tell me, Mitch McConnell's staff,
not Raytheon. Although Raytheon makes the rocket projectiles that they're using in some of the howitzers.
Reddit got to Mitch, and Mitch said, "Book me on a red eye. I want to show Darren Beatty and Steve Bannon what I think of their thoughts, their great thoughts on this topic." He flew to Kiev with a delegation of Republicans to push this $40 billion. We're going to get to all that, but tell me about Twitter first, sir.
Yeah, give us the real story. I mean, I recognize that there are enormous mass graves, and Mariupol is the site of one of the worst atrocities since World War II, and we're looking at a Pol Pot type of scheme under Putin, even within his own fucking country, going forward. And he might be dying, and Deutsche Bank obviously won't be able to launder money for the Republicans in the next election cycle and the one after that, which is a little, I can understand where you're nervy. But tell us about Twitter.
Well, it looks like there's a little bump in the road, a little delay, and the delay might turn out to be in Elon's favor.
No. He's going to drive the stock price down with his bullshit about 15% bots.
Might end up getting a cheaper price. Who knows? Well,
he has to, because the stock he was using as leverage to get his own money to buy it went down.
Just have to kind of wait and see.
Great.
Though,
yeah, we'll have to wait. You know, guys, I know you're excited that Trump was going to come back to Twitter and he was going to be set free, but it's just a slight pause. It's 2 weeks away.
Elon has
2 weeks.
Stated,
just like his taxes, just like his healthcare plan. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Affirmatively and explicitly that he has every intention of going through with the deal. So we'll just have to see how it develops.
Yeah, breaking news. Great. Editor at Revolver News. Very exciting.
Does this show you that what I've been saying is that...
No, this does not align at all with what you've been saying. As a matter of fact, it's in direct contradiction to what you said was going to happen like a week and a half ago when the deal was still hot.
His bid was too high, but let's leave that aside. It shows you that it's not really... It's a group of scumbags.
Right. You mean your show, or...?
They will lie and misrepresent and try to shut down the commander-in-chief and try to take some conservative voices off there and not want to talk about the Wuhan...
I don't know. Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens and a bunch of those assholes still have their accounts. It's not about the terms of service. It's about vocabulary and the ability to communicate.
On lab and not talk about the hard drive from the laptop from hell and not...
Yeah, look at that. Oh, he corrected himself. Did you guys see that? Aha. Somebody's been watching my takedowns. Somebody's noticed that I called him out. There is no laptop. It's a bunch of bullshit. And this asshole keeps saying the hard drive from hell.
I don't want to talk about anything. They want to suppress speech.
No, you can speak. You just have to stay out of, sort of the no-go zones language-wise.
They want to be a town square that only drives their narratives. And you see...
Well, no, it's not a town square. It is not. It is a private entity and a virtual space, so it literally is not in the way. One of the reasons why there is a law around free speech in the town square is because the town square is in between everything. It is an actual physical fucking space that if you want to get from point A to point B, you have to go around if you're not allowed in. Twitter isn't like that. It's 100% plus and 0-0. If you don't want to partake, it's nothing. If it can help you, you can use it. But it's true of all these fucking things. And the assumption that they are is, pardon my Russian, some commie bullshit.
Seen what?
Yeah, 34.3. We're almost 35K on Twitter. On YouTube. I'm talking in circles.
Twitter's to blame for this. You see where the world is today?
Yes, Twitter. Yes, Twitter is the reason Putin invaded Russia and there's a grain shortage.
Twitter's responsible, just like they all are. Darren B.
Yeah, Twitter's responsible. They all are. WeChat, Tinder. Am I right?
Absolutely. Look.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. I totally agree. I agree.
Twitter is the global public square, but it's also ground zero for coordinated influence operations.
Yes, by Russian bots, which benefited Trump and the MAGA movement for 6 fucking years.
Conducted principally by our intelligence services, allied services.
Oh, I see. Again, he's in the Rand Paul camp, that the biggest liar in the world is the U.S. government, because apparently, like what China says about their death toll, what China says about what they're planning, what China says about their economics, or what Russia says about all those things for them, that's that chump change. When when America says we landed on the moon, right?
Government cutouts, NGOs, the whole bit, and so
government cutouts and NGOs. It's the same thing.
So there's a lot at stake here, and
Jesus Christ. How am I, these guys so fucking boring? How's the end of the world and the worst crime ever and the destruction of everything so fucking dull? Even like when Alex Jones is like, we're in a time where the end is near and we gotta fight this, or they're gonna, like, fucking hell, man. This is how you know that they don't really believe it. This is what you're seeing some do is complain. Both these assholes complaining about the end of the world, screaming that the sky is falling. They're Chicken Little in a comfy chair. That's what this is, right, Kath? Fucking hell. They're Chicken Little in a comfy chair. That's all this is. Just fucking, yeah, fucking shit's terrible. I don't know how we're gonna survive this stuff, man. Holy hell. This is brutal. There's monsters around every corner. Hey, monsters. Jesus Christ. They don't buy any of this bullshit.
Transparency of the sort that Elon has called for and which customers deserve, but conflict with the ulterior uses.
Bullshit. He lost a bunch of money on his stock that he was leveraging, and he was using this as a pump and dump scheme that he may have well bought in and bought out of very quickly. And he's using this as a wedge issue to cover his ass as he exits.
Which various organizations.
Yes, NGOs are non-governmental organizations, right?
Have put Twitter. So again, we'll have to just see how it develops.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how the end of the world plays out. Get fucked. Holy hell.
Darren Beatty, you're seeing it all roll out before you.
What happened? Did he just, his hair just exploded in that last minute? Did they go to break and come back?
But I got to talk to you about this piece you put up the other day. It's another reason that Revolver is so important.
So important. Yeah. I mean, as end times whacking material goes.
The way you guys synthesize.
Yeah, they put it together. They take it and they take the news and then they know what they're like. That's, and they're like, that's what they. Oh my God.
Information and laid out. Talk about this while you got.
Jesus Christ, get on with it.
An invasion of the border. No baby formula. No diesel gas. People.
Like I was reading about this earlier. No baby formula. There has never been a moment since the invention of baby formula where there was no baby formula in the United States. And there certainly isn't fucking now. Abbott Nutrition, the maker of Similac and other popular baby formulas, on Monday said it has come to an agreement with the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to fix safety issues at a Sturgis, Michigan factory that has been shuttered for more than 3 months, contributing to a nationwide shortage of baby formula. Specifically, the NeuroPro and these and the ones that are for digestive issues the kids have. This is a major step towards reopening our Sturgis facility so that we can ease the nationwide formula shortage, said Robert Ford. Here we go. We're 3 weeks away from another dead talking point. Who noted that the shortage was also exacerbated by a voluntary recall by the company, a formula that had been possibly tainted by a bacteria that sickened and killed infants. This is the part that Steve Bannon does not give a rat fuck about. It's definitely frightening if your kid has a special need as far as formula and you're having a hard time finding it. It's another thing to think that you have plenty and any of it could be the bullet in the chamber in a game of Russian roulette with your fucking baby. We know millions of parents and caregivers depend on us, and we're deeply sorry that our voluntary recall worsened the nationwide formula shortage. We will work at this, by the way, which the voluntary recall was A, a good idea, and B, definitely about covering their ass legally. We will work hard to re-earn the trust that moms, dads, and caregivers have placed in our formulas for more than 50 years. Once the FDA confirms the initial requirements have been met, they already fucking scrubbed down the whole fucking factory before they did the recall, before the FDA even knocked on their fucking door. Abbott could restart operations at the site within 2 weeks, the company said. FDA is working closely with Abbott to bring the facility back online safely. Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters Monday afternoon, that's the key here is safely. We want to make sure that it is done in a safe way. We're very close to having a path forward to safely reopen the facility. She said the administration is also moving as quickly as possible to bring in more formula from overseas. They're doing their fucking job. But these assholes, and the border's not fucking open. The number of people crossing it are like 2018 numbers. There's a lot of recidivism, people crossing more than once because they're immediately rejected because the Title 42 is still in place, and we're still operating on basically the Obama-Biden rules under Biden, which is if you're a military-age male that could be working in your own country, I'm sorry that there aren't jobs there for you, but we have people here who need those jobs and you're not in any danger. It's just a struggle. That's not enough. And we would like to take in people who are definitely in danger or are struggling, and we have limited resources to do that. So we're going to focus on like women and with babies.
People are deciding right now whether they skip lunch over the weekend and maybe cut back on a couple of meals and change the behavior patterns. By the way, cutting back on meals for your health or doing what is fine. You're an American freedom.
You're an American freedom.
Doing it because you don't have the money is not fine.
Right. So what do you want to do? Restart the unemployment insurance?
That's not fine.
Uh-huh. How about child income tax credit? You could solve it that way, fucko.
Okay, doing it for your health and for other reasons.
Yeah, you should try it. I'm going to go out on a limb there, Steve, and say that is a behavior that you and your guest have written off.
That's perfect because it's a free country and you're a free man or woman. But that your freedom's being
I can be both?
Taken away. Darren Beattie, while this is all going on,
none of that is going on in any way that he gives a shit about.
Mitch McConnell gets on a plane and flies over to Kiev to brag about them and wants a photo op on the 40 billion. And thank God
for Rand Paul.
For Rand Paul,
right? For what? Delaying it 6 days so a bunch of people can needlessly die in case there's a hitch in the funding. So, and by the way, the money runs out this week, and so the holdup was really just to delay it until the very last second, or basically make a gap in the funding. But like even this fuckery that Rand Paul is doing is not going to have a material impact on this.
Because if he had not stood up. They were going over for 40 to hand him a check.
No, they weren't. They were not going over there to hand him a check. That's not how any of that works. The $40 billion doesn't just go straight to them like, hey, spend this how you want. And by any estimation, most of it goes right back into either American defense coffers or into NGOs we work with specifically through USAID to feed, clothe, and house refugees who have left the country.
Hand him a check, Darren Beattie.
No, they're not going to hand him a check. They didn't go over there like it was a fucking telethon.
Absolutely. And in fact...
Absolutely. No, not absolutely.
One of the tweets included in our piece...
Ooh, tweets.
Here, people are saying it's one of the best they've ever read on Ukraine.
Yeah, one of the best tweets I've ever read.
Ukraine. It's a quote from Mitch McConnell. It says, "We all agree that the most important thing going on in the world right now is the war in Ukraine. Well, we need to send $40 billion. But to put that number into perspective, just a few things. It's roughly three times the final cost of the unfinished border wall. If the U.S.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The premise I call into question, A, Trump says the border wall was already finished. There was excess portions. So Trump, talk to Trump if you want to say that it wasn't finished, because he now says it was. Hold on. Is there an issue here? There we go. One second. And then, secondly, why is it anybody's business, in this particular case, Wait, hold on. What's happening here? Hold on. There we go. Sorry. I'm fixing something real quick. Hold on. Here we go. And then the premise, I call into question the premise that we are somehow that this is a zero-sum game in that regard. Hold on. So let's see. Hold on one second. There we go. All right. I was just fixing something.
Aid here were a national military budget. It would be the 10th largest military budget in the world, just ahead of South Korea.
Right. Who is not currently engaged in a war.
$43 billion is more than the cost of the entire first 8 years of the war in Afghanistan. And when you match that with what we've already given.
What about the last 12? Including the 4 where Trump was president when he said he was going to get us out and he never fucking did.
It exceeds the cost of 1991's Gulf War.
Oh, shit. Not the 1991 Gulf War. How does it compare to the Falklands? What about Grenada? Is there a sliding scale or just a slide whistle?
So this is a crazy amount of money that...
No, it's not. It's not a fucking crazy amount of money at all. Like, dude, the bill for Sandy, for Hurricane Sandy was $51 billion. And that was for our own state, so there's no getting it paid back. Again, Ukraine doesn't just get to keep this money in the abstract. Eventually, it's going to pay off once they're rebuilt, and that money starts coming back to us. They pay, right now, they've met their obligations paying off their bonds that they've had in this process through their own grain exports, even with them as stymied as much as they are. You know who hasn't? China.
That when put in perspective really underscores how much contempt the ruling class has for the American people.
The ruling class? What? It's just everybody on the derp state elites bandwagon now? I don't go a ruling class. We don't have a ruling class. I don't even take a lesson in ruling. I wanna take a class in ruling so we can learn the rules. But I don't.
People. But actually, it's far worse than just wasting money.
Oh, there's nothing worse than wasting money. I know. Because one day I had 2 poo-poo diapers instead of 1 poo-poo diaper, and they're very expensive. And we only brought 3 poo-poo diapers, and if I poo-poo diaper one more time, it would have been a waste of poo-poo diaper.
Because what it's doing is actually prolonging the conflict.
That's what, yes. The best thing that could possibly happen is that everybody, according to this man, that everybody in Ukraine just hurry up and die already. You know what I mean? They're like a sick goldfish. And it's like, I'm not gonna make it. And the toilets are waiting. And we're gonna go flush. So might as well hurry up. Oh, you know what? It's like my drunk uncle used to say all the time. Why don't you just go ahead and flush it anyways? It might survive better in the sewer pipe.
The more money we push into this system.
That's what he said.
The more it prevents the various parties, Ukraine and Russia, from getting to the negotiating table.
That's not a real thing. Look, I recognize I'm a very small. I'm a little boy. But if I have a bully on a playground and the bully gives me, it says, the 2 things gonna get hit. I'm gonna hit you and you're gonna hit the ground. And I go, can we talk about this? And he goes, yes, I'm gonna hit you and you're gonna hit the ground. Is that enough talk? And I go, no, I mean about not getting hit. And he's like, look, here's how it's going to work. I'm going to hit you and you're going to hit the ground. And I go, okay, I'm really thinking I might have to punch you in the gym if you try that. What happens if I duck the first punch? Well, and he goes, you duck the first punch, I'm going to punch you, I'm going to hit you, and you're going to hit the ground. This doesn't sound like a negotiation to me. We can stand here all day.
And that's what this is all about.
No, excuse me. The hokey pokey is what it's all about. Were you not paying attention in recess?
When Darren Beattie and other conservative Inc. things said, no, we're for de-escalation.
But this man would make me want to find out that Santa Claus isn't real. He looks like Santa Claus just fell through the cracks of society.
We're for de-escalation because if you don't do it, look what's happening in India. Look at Sri Lanka. Look what's happening down in Latin America.
What's happening in Sri Lanka? Did Russia attack India, Sri Lanka, and Latin America too? Those guys are jerks.
Look what's happening on our southern border.
Oh my gosh, Russia has attacked the southern border?
You're going to have the Camp of the Saints. Okay?
No.
With the
Boy Scout camp is way more fun. I'm just a weevilo, but trust me.
Bad as certain elements, so as bad as certain elements of that book are, it's quite prophetic. This is what the elites in Davos, in NATO, they're driving.
Oh no, it's I have to go. If they say Davos, it's my cue. We moved into Alex Jones territory in the middle of that. I don't know if you noticed, but the talking points are starting to overlap. Coincidence? I think not.
This, and they sit there. Look, they knew about this. Their intelligence. They brag about it. Oh yeah, we kind of knew about it in September, October. Started watching. Well, why didn't you think about the food? Why didn't you think about the fuel?
Right.
Who? You mean Russia?
So smart. Tell the people in Sri Lanka. Tell the dead women and children in eastern Ukraine.
What?
See what they would vote for now. Would they vote for de-escalation or more escalation?
Well, they're dead. And largely because they seem to vote for escalation.
Look, Steve, this is the thing. It's far worse than simply a waste of money. This money is not going to preserve or establish peace. It's going to prolong the war.
By the way, this is a regular right-wing argument, in all seriousness. This has shown up all over the place, and this is the primary one. This is the one actually MTG has been talking about, and he's one of the assholes she got it from. And the idea is look, the Ukrainians, they're gonna lose. And they can lose now and have fewer dead and just let Russia have what it wants. And if you do that, then, fewer Ukrainians have to die because they're going to fucking lose and there's no way out. And that's why we need to stop pouring money in there because they're just going to end up dead anyways. So why spend the money trying to keep them alive a little bit? It's basically like a bunch of people standing around a relatively healthy human being who's on life support in their mind. And you're like, let's just unplug the fucker. And the reality is that Ukraine is fucking winning. And they're going to push Russia all the way out of Crimea. And that's what these assholes are scrambling about. Because Paul Manafort, who was linked with Steve Bannon and Roger Stone and all those fuckers, they had one job. And one of their one jobs was to help facilitate Russian expansion in Ukraine through Yanukovych remaining in power in 2014 with the snipers and all that kind of shit, and Russia retaining Donetsk and Luhansk and creating these autonomous regions and keeping Crimea and then spreading across into connecting across the south to Moldova and owning all that land, including Odessa, choking off Ukraine and slowly salami slicing through the country as the economy fails while retaining all of the Black Sea and all the energy that's in there. That was the whole point. That's the whole point of Russia's expansion. That's what Russia was expecting of Paul Manafort and Donald Trump and Roger Stone and Steve Bannon and all these fuckers, and they fucking failed. And it's worse even than that. They, just like everything Trump touches, it fucking died. It is yet another. This is the Trump stakes of battle plans. And they are in a real panic right now that the only way the Ukrainians will lose and the only way Russia has a fucking shot, if this country and France, and that's why they were pushing Marie Le Pen over there, and the UK and others tap the brakes, especially through Germany, tap the brakes on NATO support for Ukraine especially. Don't expand into Finland and Sweden. That's too late. But if they could just slow, that's what Rand Paul's there to do. Just slow this money down a little bit, give Russia time to regroup. They'll have more guys in there, and then they can make a second push, and then they'll just use tactical nukes and fuck up the whole country. Trump was going to hand Ukraine to them in his second term. He was going to stiff arm NATO and say it's none of our fucking business. And all of this support, which is the reason why Ukraine is winning, was going to be denied. That was Trump's job. And he lost the election fair and fucking square. And so they had to just do it on their own because Putin's not healthy and he doesn't have a lot of time left. And everybody, by the way, it's not just him. Everybody wants to talk about what a lunatic he is, and he certainly is. But the guys around him, there's like 5 or 6 primary guys who agree with him on this bullshit, including the guy that he handed power to on his Security Council, who's even more of a hard ass about this bullshit, who's in the Goebbels and Himmler crowd.
Most people don't understand America has total leverage here. The more money we funnel into the system, the more prolonged the war will be.
No. If we don't put this in, the war with Russia in Ukraine will be the beginning of it. They want Lithuania and Latvia. They want Moldova. They want to expand further into Chechnya. They've said so. Only an asshole thinks this stops at Ukraine. Yes, we have our one of our resident trolls who's in the chat who goes by Tony Clifton, and I think it's a great example of how I stand by what I say. I will put forward everything that I feel or believe about this ethically, philosophically, ideologically, and psychologically. And the only real pushback I get are from sock puppet bullshit accounts by people who don't even use their real name.
Because it prevents both sides from going to the negotiating table. Dan Crenshaw.
No, it doesn't. There is no negotiating table. At the first negotiating table, Russia had a spy of their own there undermining it. The second time they met, they poisoned 2 of the people there. There is no negotiating table. They have no negotiation point. Russia said every time is, we're claiming this region and we're going to keep all of the area on the east. And they're like, what are you talking about? You don't even have military control over that. And they're like, give it or we'll keep killing you. That's been the negotiation every fucking time. The money has nothing to do with it.
Shaw put it in a brutal fashion. He does not mince words about what he wants.
He does not mince words.
He said, yeah, because investing in the destruction of our adversary's military without losing a single American troop strikes me as a good idea.
Right. Because they will use those troops and those military weapons to affect non-NATO and NATO countries alike, because they have said we are in a World War II inflection moment around the Rhineland and Poland. This is the Chamberlain crowd. This is the hashtag neo-Chamberlainism.
So this is not about Ukraine. This is about...
Yes, it is. It is about Ukraine. Because Ukraine should be free and have sovereignty over its land, just like all these other countries that Russia is pressuring. What Sweden and Finland have learned is that they were tapping the brakes on NATO, on joining NATO, because they thought, well, Russia's not going to do any of this shit. A lot of it's talk, and they're not really going to come in. And then as soon as they attacked Ukraine, they're like, oh shit, this guy's nuts. They're going to do this same bullshit.
About putting Russia into a kind of forever war quagmire situation, which is
yeah, they're putting Russia into this forever war quagmire. Russia has no choice in this, guys. I mean, it's a pit bull in a daycare center, and it's our fault that it decided to jump through the window and start shaking babies.
Extremely dangerous.
And if we try to get the babies out or protect the babies from the dog, we're just prolonging the inevitable. Eventually, what you really need to do in that situation is just get back, everybody clear the area, and let the dog wear himself out shaking babies.
Dangerous, because if they feel like they're backed into a corner, then nukes are on the table. The possibility.
All right, and again, this fucking bullshit. The idea of mutual assured destruction was supposedly there to keep everybody at peace. And now what Russia has learned is that the threat of mutual assured destruction has allowed them under the umbrella of that to basically wreak havoc anywhere in traditional warfare, anywhere they fucking want. Georgia, Chechnya, Eastern Ukraine, fuck it. You know, like everybody's so afraid that they're going to launch their nukes. We could pretty much fuck up anybody we want. We're armed, so we could just sit there and go, well, you know, I'll shoot the hostage and myself, I guess, in this process. So let me just beat them to death. It's so stupid.
Of a war with NATO is on the table. And just as one...
A war with NATO is not on the table unless it's that giant long table in front of Vladimir Putin and he puts it there. NATO is not expanding in any way that is going to cause him any danger. It is a defensive organization, and that has never been more clear.
Really disturbing example from the piece. That sunken ship, it was sunk, the Russian ship, it was sunk by the aid of U.S. intelligence.
Yeah, but they didn't tell... You could buy satellite imagery. They could fucking see the thing. Yes, we were like, here's a view. We're not going to tell you what to blow up, but here's our view. We're allowing you to look through our binoculars. That's not us strategically going, shoot that first, shoot that, destroy that. That's not what we're doing. We're helping a friend. Because, by the way, Russia has all that shit. They have satellites. They have drones. They don't know how to fucking use them, apparently. They're terrible tactically. They're a bunch of morons. Or they have been lying about what they have for so long that the oligarchs that run their military have been siphoning money out of it that none of it fucking works. They're just chucking tin cans into the sky with no lenses on the goddamn thing, so none of their satellites are worth a shit. Here we are on the ground thinking they're mounting lasers on the fucking things, and they're garbage. But they have, in theory, all of that stuff. Ukraine doesn't. So they're just supposed to die because they were busy having grain fields and trying to expand their oil and gas system without having nukes, without having, by being just a normal European country. Just fuck them. That's what it is. Russia has been able to build up this giant military, allegedly, over these years, scaring the fuck out of everyone, invading Chechnya, invading Georgia, invading Ukraine once already. And if they do it again... and just shell the fuck out of civilians and cities, just leveling the goddamn country. The rest of the world is going, hey, none of our fucking business. Got to let it happen.
Remember when our intel officials were lying to us and saying about the bounties, the Taliban bounties that Russians were paying?
They didn't lie. That wasn't a lie. They just said it wasn't actionable intelligence. They had heard it, but they didn't hear it. They didn't have enough clarity on that intelligence to act on it. That's all. You can hear something that turns out to be true. You can also hear something that turns out to be false. If you're going to make a giant military campaign out of something or accuse another country of something extraordinary, you can't just hear it and hope. You have to hear it and then follow it up and check 3 times. It's kind of like a journalist doing a story like in of a President's Men, where you got to check 3 sources or the editor's not going to let it go through. If you've only got 2 sources, 2 of them are great. You totally believe it. The third guy isn't picking up his fucking phone. The story doesn't go through. That's where they were with that story. That's it. They didn't lie. They just said, we have information this is happening, but it's not actionable intelligence. We don't have it on paper. We don't have a hard drive. We don't have an email from somebody, or we don't have an intercepted verbal message. And this is extraordinary.
Paying for, and that was an act of war. Well, what is it that...
No, it wasn't an act of war. That's exactly why. They didn't act on it, fucko. They heard about it. They knew it. They were like, this is more than likely true, but it was not at the level where they could act on it You know how we know? Because we're not at fucking war with Russia.
What we're doing.
Yeah.
We're playing a very dangerous game here.
It's not a game. You're an idiot. This is silly. These people are children. This is so fucked up and childish.
By the way, if you're a Republican, you want to follow the brains and geniuses of Dan Crenshaw and Mitch McConnell, go for it. But we are going to run the tables on you. Darren Beattie,
You're going to run the tables. Yes, tip of the spear, crack of my ass.
Get
whatever.
to Revolver. How are they following on social media?
I don't care. Hold on. We need to do promos. Look at the articles. Okay. Why funding Ukraine is just dead wrong. Having failed against Matt Gaetz, the globalist American empire tries East Germany's Stasi tactics on Madison Cawthorn. What the fuck? Look at the second headline here. The globalist American empire. What the fuck are you talking about? This is Republican political action. People are chucking shit at like 2 Democrats in his district who hate him. This is just regular run-of-the-mill, like, rat fucking, which is, by the way, call up Roger Stone and ask him his opinion on the attacks on Madison Cawthorn. He'll go, yeah, it's solid stuff. I mean, it's not as classy as the stuff I used to do, but it's right up there.
Darren J. Beattie and Revolver News were on Gitter.
Blah, blah, blah. Trump, $48 billion to Ukraine. Europe should pay their fair share. They are stupid. And what do you mean their fair share? Homepage of the American people. Jesus Christ. Didn't Revolver used to actually be I guess it's Revolver News. Isn't there a rock magazine called Revolver? It's not the same thing. Yeah, revolver.news.
At Revolver News. Check it out. Read it. Share it.
No.
And
Netflix touts free speech in company memo, says offended employees can leave.
Thank you.
God, these assholes. It's the same shit. We at time. Yes, we're just at the tail end. I didn't go too far over tonight. I'm proud of myself, after the weekend, and I think I'm probably gonna I'm gonna try and do like an early afternoon show tomorrow, if that's cool with people, since I didn't get to do a morning show after I come back from the gym. Maybe depends on how exhausted I am. I've still got some work to do on the studio, but I did manage to move my. See, I've got to set this back. Hold on one second. Dink, dink. There it is. I think that's it, right? Quit it. There you go. I set the screen. Look. It goes all the way back. Look at that. See what I did? Now I just have to fix the where the camera is seated on here so I don't run out of space in. Look, I can reach into Steve Bannon's head and pull out. Oh, nothing. There's nothing in there. That's weird. Look. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, it smells like syphilis, though. That's weird. So I'm trying to fix that part. Although that's kind of funny. I'm going to catch something. Now I got to wash my hands. Son of a bitch. Yeah, there was nothing. I got to. Stuttering John's on at 3. Okay. Oh, tomorrow you mean? I might be on there tomorrow. He was asking me about coming on, and I couldn't last week because of a bunch of stuff. But anyways, yeah, I got to go wash my hands. That's gross. I literally feel a little dirty just even pretending to touch that dude's face. Anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll try and do a little, a short show, like a morning catch up or something, if I can. And then this week I'm in San Diego at the Laugh Factory, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. If you're in that area or you know anybody who is, I'm there all weekend, ish, Friday through Sunday, which is lovely. And then, and so Thursday will be a travel day, and I might have radio Friday morning. So the question might be that I might do my Thursday show like normal, and then at 6 o'clock just hit the fucking road, and I get in around midnight or so into San Diego, and yeah, or I might just catch a short flight. We'll figure it out. because San Diego's pretty small, the downtown area, and if the hotel's not far from the club, I might, I wouldn't need a car necessarily. So that would be really cool. Oh, Christopher, thank you so much for becoming a Patreon supporter. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And don't forget to subscribe. We're at 1022 on subs. That's fantastic. Oh my gosh, Alex, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Karen, for the super chat as well. I'm trying to get this thing where I can pop these up on screen. And I should be able to, yeah, I got to work that out. There used to be a little thing on there where I could do it. Ruby, thank you for resubscribing along this way. And by the way, a bunch of people over the last couple of shows up in Jackpot and down here at the Mint, a few people have shown up who watch the show and know the show and just are fans and watch here and are in our audience. And sometimes they're part of the chat, sometimes they aren't. And they came up and said, especially in Jackpot, there were a few of them that came up, and they can say if they were there, it's up to them. I don't want to call anybody out in particular. But I have to be completely honest that a couple of moments in talking with them quickly, and they'll testify to this if you ask them. We both kind of teared up a little bit as I was talking to them. And it happened a couple of times because just, the last 2 years have been tough on everybody. And yet there's always hope. There's always, the reality is always a lot better than the Chicken Littles will want them to be. And monetizing hope takes a lot more fucking work than monetizing fear. And so nobody does it. And so when people come up and when people come up to me and talk to me about the show and having watched this over the last couple of years, the universal response seems to be that it's lightened their load a little. That's the easiest way I can put it. And I can't tell you how proud that makes me and how happy that makes me and how honored I am to play any part in that I can play. It's amazing. I'm always surprised how it hits me emotionally when people say it. So, thanks. That's all. And if you watch the show and you're going to come to the Sexy Liberal shows or any of those things, or if you're, I do meet and greets at nearly every show I do. The only time I really don't is when I have to sing again. If I've got 2 sets and I got to watch my throat, or I have to sing the next day and I got to do it. But other than that, I always do meet and greets. I'm happy to see you guys. And it's lovely to have these conversations. And I always wish I had more time when we're in those situations. But it's been really touching. I got to say, it's just lovely. So, and having started this thing out as clunky as it was in the beginning, and is sometimes, all right, day by day as it expands and you guys are with us throughout this. I posted the tool cover, Auntie Sarah, on my Twitter a little bit ago. It's just lovely. I just wanted to say that, and thanks to everybody who came up and said hi, who watches the show at the gigs and stuff. And it's always surprising to me. And in many ways, I've gotten used to people who come up and say they're a Queer as Folk fan or a Lab Rats fan or Dude, Where's My Car or the I Love the 80s or even Talk Soup. Like I'm kind of used to that. It doesn't mean I take it for granted or that it's any less. It's just I have a response for that it's normal to my social interaction. You know what I mean? And it's no greater than lesser than somebody saying you got brown eyes, right? It's just kind of a normal thing. I'm used to that kind of thing, but this is pretty new that people come up and since I do it from home in relative isolation in my office, it's always, it's a pleasant surprise when people come up and say they watch the show, or it happens, especially, it's happening more and more randomly in public. And I got to tell you, it's just lovely. So don't ever be afraid to say something. If you see me in public, if you watch the show, just come up and say hi. I'm always happy to take a moment, and it's just great. That's it. I don't want to, all right, I'm not going to belabor it, but thank you. That's all. I appreciate it too, and it was great to see you guys, and I can't wait to see more of your lovely faces out in the real world as we go back to the new abnormal. So take care of yourselves, take care of somebody else, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye, everybody.